Greetings. Today I will talk about Indiana native Colonel Harland Sanders. Everyone is familiar with Colonel Sanders, the founder of the famous Kentucky Fried Chicken fast food chain. Few may know, however, that Colonel Sanders was born and raised near Henryville, Indiana, in Clark County, Indiana. Harland Sanders lived from September the 9th, 1890 until December the 16th, 1980. Harland Sanders' life exemplifies the rags to riches story that is so much part of the American experience. Colonel Sanders rose above poverty, failure, and economic depression to eventually find success and launch the modern fast food franchise model. His resume includes stints as a life insurance salesman, steam engine stoker, railway worker, secretary, and entrepreneur. His fiery temper got him involved in brawls and made him the bane of the early franchise holders that did not adhere to his strict standards. Before getting started, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel for more great content. If you like my videos, hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people, allowing me to grow the channel. I also encourage you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. This episode is based on my book, Southeast Indiana Road Trips. You take a fun tour through the rich history of Indiana using Southeast Indiana Day Trips as your guidebook. The tourism guide will help you plan road trips to discover interesting places to visit and enjoy. Readers will learn about many things to do in southeastern Indiana. The book includes museums, state and local parks, cities and towns, wineries, and much, much more. The book includes Tourism Bureau contacts for each of the 11 counties in the book. Colonel Sanders' mother, Mary Ann Dunleavy Sanders, gave birth to him in their four-room home near Henryville, Indiana. He was the eldest of four children born by her and her husband, Wilbur David Sanders. Wilbur died suddenly from a fever when Harland was 5. His mother found work in a cannery and was absent for long periods of time, leaving Harland to care for the younger children. During these years, Harland learned how to cook using food the children foraged while their mother was away. At age 10, 2 local farmers hired the boy as a farmhand. His mother eventually remarried, and the family moved to Greenwood, Indiana. In the 7th grade, Harland dropped out of school and moved to live with a farmer to do farm work. For a time, he lived with an uncle in New Albany, working as a conductor. He falsified his age and joined the military in 1906. After serving as a teamster in Cuba, he received an honorary discharge and went to Alabama to serve stints as a blacksmith helper, ash pan cleaner for a railroad. Eventually, he rose to become fireman, stoking the steam engines with coal. From Alabama, Harland went on to Tennessee. He worked days as a fireman and studied law at night at the LaSalle Extension University. A fight with a co-worker cost him his job, so he moved on to Arkansas, married by now with 2 daughters. His son had died of tonsillitis. In Little Rock, Arkansas, he became a lawyer, and a courtroom brawl with his client ended his law career. He ended up again in Indiana, this time operating a ferry company that he established. The ferry operated between Jeffersonville and Louisville and did well. During this time, he also worked as secretary for the Columbus, Indiana Chamber of Commerce. He resigned from that job, sold the ferry company, and used the fund to establish a company that made acetylene lamps. This company failed. Sanders ended up in North Corbin, Kentucky, operating a service station which he rented free in exchange for a percentage of the sales. To make extra money, he started selling fried chicken, country ham, and country fried steak dinners. His chicken was a hit. His restaurant became so popular that Kentucky Governor Ruby LaFoon in 1935 made him a Kentucky colonel. During this time, he was involved in a shootout in which his biggest competitor, Matt Stewart Sanders, a Shell oil official with Sanders, and Stewart got into an altercation over Stewart repainting some of Sanders' signs. He was directing people to his station and away from Sanders. During the altercation, Stewart pulled a gun and shot the Shell oil man, killing him. His murder conviction eliminated him as a competitor. By 1940, Sanders had perfected his chicken recipe. He opened a 140-seat restaurant in Asheville, North Carolina. When the war started, the government started rationing gas for the war effort. All tourism stopped, forcing Sanders to close the restaurant. In 1952, Sanders began selling franchises his recipe. He would go to restaurants around the country and cook for the owner and employees. He often slept in his car while on these trips. If they liked the chicken, he would offer to sell them a franchise. He would claim a royalty of 4 cents per chicken. He sold his first franchise in 1952 to a restaurant owner in Salt Lake City, Utah. His fledgling company grew, and by 1964, he sold the company to the Kentucky Fried Chicken Corporation. He received $2 million for his company. Harland moved to Louisville, where he died of leukemia in 1980. His body is laid to rest in the state capitol in Frankfort. His grave lies in Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville. At his death, there were an estimated 6,000 Kentucky Fried Chicken franchises around the world. He didn't do too bad for a poor farm boy from Henryville, Indiana. Hoosiers interested in taking a drive through the Lovey, Indiana countryside can find the historical marker that notes the approximate location of his birth. The marker is on Zolman Road, about 2.5 miles west of Indiana State Road 3 in Clark County, Indiana. The 911 address for the marker is 6089 Zolman Road, Altisco, Indiana 47163. For those needing detailed instruction, I will have them on the bottom of the transcript of the website for this on the webpage for this episode. I will include a link on both the podcast and video editions of this episode. This episode is based on my book, Southeast Indiana Day Trips, available on the website www.mossyfeetbooks.com. The book is the first book in the 9-volume Road Trip Indiana series. The books include all the historical markers as of 2022 in Indiana with the text and backstory. The books also include a nearly complete listing of virtually every tourism destination in the state. The destinations include parks, museums, drive-in theaters, bowling alleys, wineries, and much, much more. I encourage you to visit the website and subscribe to it. You can find my books locally at the Walnut Street Variety Shop in Batesville, Indiana. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you.